Creative babble.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
In our last episode, we walked through the injunction of harassment hearing, where the judge found that Laura Michelle Owens was indeed harassing Clayton Echard. Their next showdown was in family court, but things took an even stranger turn when on December 28, 2024, Laura filed a petition to dismiss the case because guess what? She was no longer pregnant. YouTuber Dave Neal says,
she never gave an exact date of when she miscarried because she would go back and try to rewrite the story. She would write Medium articles and then dirty edit them, and people would find what she was changing.
And he's not wrong. Laura Michelle Owens did offer a very murky timeline on when she actually stopped being pregnant. This is Laura's attorney, David Gingras, questioning her at her family court hearing with Clayton in June of 2024.
At some point, did you eventually learn that you were no longer pregnant?
Yes.
What date did that happen?
November 15th, I believe.
And did you go to a facility called Mom Doc?
Yes.
And did they give you a pregnancy test then?
Yes.
More than one test?
They just gave me one test.
Okay. And the results were both negative?
Yes.
Okay.
In court, Laura Owens was questioned under oath about the timeline of her alleged miscarriage, and Clayton's attorney didn't waste any time getting to the inconsistencies.
Per what you self-reported to Mom Doc, they listed a spontaneous abortion date of August 12th of 2023 at 8 weeks pregnant, correct?
They listed a lot of things that were inaccurate here. I never told them that I had an abortion that date.
Okay, well, a spontaneous abortion, if I were to tell you, is consistent with a miscarriage. Would you agree with me that they listed a miscarriage date of August 12th of 2023 at 8 weeks pregnant?
Yes.
That date, August 12th, is the first issue because Laura gave a completely different version under oath.
In your deposition, page 151, line 24, you claim you passed the 2 sacs, which appeared to have a membrane in September or October, correct?
Correct.
So now there are 2 different dates for when Laura says that she miscarried. But the attorney keeps going. This time, Laura says that she passed tissues just a few weeks after an ultrasound at Planned Parenthood.
But in the Mom Doc records, you claim you passed the 2 sacs a few weeks after your alleged ultrasound at Planned Parenthood, right?
Several weeks after.
Okay, well, you would agree with me there's an inconsistency there, right?
Right. I wasn't sure what the date was.
Then, Clayton's attorney delivers another critical point. There was never any medical confirmation. No ultrasound, no blood test, no physical exam from any doctor verifying that Laura was ever pregnant. And just when the timeline seemed confusing enough...
So again, in your deposition, you claimed you passed them in September or October, right?
Yes.
But then you changed the date and claim that you passed these 2 sacs on July 23rd of 2023, right?
Right.
That's 3 different dates, 3 versions of the same event, and still no medical proof. Nothing. She had a miscarriage in July or August or September or October. In any case, during her injunction hearing in November of 2023, Laura said this. Play the tape.
Okay. Well, you're aware that this has been marked as a copy of your deposition transcript for March 1st of 2024, correct?
Correct.
By her own story, she had already miscarried multiple times. And yet, here she is, claiming to be 6 months pregnant with twins. As the case moves into 2024, Laura now says that she's no longer pregnant, and she just wants the whole thing dropped. Can somebody say perjury? I'm Javier Leiva, and this is Pretend. Stories about real people pretending to be someone else.
Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
My name is Laura Owens, and I know that before I even started this video, people on Reddit, just by virtue of the fact that I'm speaking up for myself, have started threads about me where they're critiquing my looks, where I'm becoming a meme.
For almost a year, Laura Owens privately waged a war with Clayton Echard, but eventually she had to publicly face the accusations.
What I have is what I feel like no privacy anymore, no reputation, no name. And this is by no means a cry for help. I'm not suicidal right now. I'm not at all. Since I became pregnant by The Bachelor, there were two men who I have restraining orders against, who contacted that Bachelor, who contacted content creators, and they decided that it was free game to talk about my past. They said that I had done this before, and in saying that I had done this before, they meant that I had been pregnant before, which I have. I've been pregnant twice before, which is something that I really didn't want to come out because I thought people would judge me for it. And people have already. I know they have.
In a tearless Facebook meltdown, Laura claimed that she had been pregnant twice before, both times ending in abortion.
I wasn't ready for that to come out.
This wasn't the first time Laura claimed to be pregnant. Records and statements show a pattern going back nearly a decade. A pregnancy in 2014, two more in 2016, another in 2021, and then again in 2023. That one involving Clayton. It's a pattern that's really hard to ignore. Something about people crying, especially fake crying, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. It sounds like she's crying, but there are actually no tears. She's either severely dehydrated or putting on a tremendous show. I'll only play a few clips of this video so it doesn't cause you to throw your phone out of your car window or smash the screen with the leg of a chair.
And it's better for me to get my side of this out, for me to tell the stories, and that's the only control I have anymore over it.
And to me, what stands out the most is that she doesn't talk about the pregnancy itself, not the babies, not the loss, not how she feels about any of it. Instead, the focus is entirely on her. When Laura announces that she's no longer pregnant and wants to dismiss the case, this could have been an easy out for Clayton.
Luckily, Clayton's attorneys, knowing what they're doing, says, well, we're going to ask for court fees. So by asking for court fees, then they have to adjudicate the case so the judge can decide who's going to be awarded the court fees. And at this point, it's $150,000 on the line, which, that's no chump change there.
As it gets closer and closer to the trial date, Clayton's lawyer receives an email from Laura herself. It states that she intends to sue Clayton for damages related to the real estate deal that he didn't go through with, which she valued at $1.4 million. She says at the end of her email that she won't file this lawsuit if Clayton agrees to drop the family court lawsuit. Clayton's attorney responds to Laura saying that they would continue the case and that 3 of the doctors that Laura had claimed to have seen for her pregnancy have responded to the HIPAA request, stating that they have no patient by the name of Laura Owens. While each side is preparing their case for trial, one court document showed that when they were still together, Laura told her ex, Michael Maricini, that she had ovarian cancer and that she had to have an ovary removed. Look, women can still get pregnant with one ovary. It's medically possible, but if Laura actually had ovarian cancer and had an ovary removed, she likely would have undergone hormone-affecting treatments like chemotherapy or radiation, and the surgical trauma alone could make her less fertile, especially getting pregnant with twins. Plus, there would almost certainly be a trail of medical records. Laura denies claiming that she had ever had an ovary removed and that these messages were fake. So the online sleuths went to work, and her ex-boyfriend Mike found the old laptop that he believed had all the information he needed to prove that Laura lied about having cancer. But he was afraid to open it because he thought that the iCloud would wipe out any information that was in there. So the fans mobilized again.
So we knew that she was going to deny this. In fact, she immediately signed an affidavit denying she ever faked ovarian cancer. So what we did is we held a live stream fundraiser. We raised $5,000 to hire a forensic expert to open up the laptop and verify every single thing in it. And, an expert that's testified in court. And I got to tell you, this must be the most trivial thing this expert has ever worked on. Mike says, he goes, I go to this guy's house. It's cluttered. It's this paper stacked on top. He's taking notes with a pencil. I'm like, Mike, this is your guy. Like, this guy is like, he just sounded like he was just a character on X-Files. And he comes out with like a 1,400 page document verifying all of Mike's claims. Laura Owens used this same photo, from the hospital. It's a selfie of her, the scrubs she was wearing, the hair, everything was perfect. She used that same photo that she used to say she had ovarian cancer, later to say she was the victim of domestic violence. And that photo exists online on a YouTube video of Laura Owens giving a TEDx talk. So she's just like patently lied about these things. And even though it's provably wrong, she now has a restraining order against all three of these men.
I wanted to speak with Laura Owens directly. I emailed her multiple times. I was giving her an opportunity to make her case. Listen, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just wanted to hear her out. But no response. Nothing. So finally, I reached out to her attorney, David Gingras, to see if I could convince him to let her talk.
This is David.
Hey, David, it's Javier. I just got your email. I'm with the
Javier,
podcast.
What's going on? I appreciate the call.
I got Gingras on the phone not that long ago, and I'll be honest, this conversation was fascinating, even if it was a little all over the place. He practices family law in Arizona and is known for being a colorful character.
As just a matter of policy, I don't let inquiries go unanswered. I always tell people, hey, I can either help or I can't.
Oh, yeah. And I kind of understand. She's kind of like embroiled in this mess, and, she's probably getting messages from all kinds of people. So I totally get it.
Yes. Look, she doesn't want to talk to haters. Right. And I'm not saying that you're a hater. What I'm saying is I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So
obviously.
Yeah. So we've had enough conversations with the haters. It's a dead end street. It's just not productive. Yeah. But at the same time, your emails, at least, you sent me one, and then Laura showed me the other two that you sent. I think you're saying the right things, and I have no problem. And I've said the same thing to everybody the whole time. I want both sides of the story to be out there. And if you're interested in hearing our side, then by all means, I'm happy to talk to you.
I think that's a lot more interesting, right? Than piling up on somebody, and because like right now it's just basically a one-sided story.
She's willing to talk to you with the proviso that if you're just straight up JFC meaning the Justice for Clayton group. If you're only interested in that narrative, then we don't have a lot to talk to you about.
But if you guys don't talk to me, like that's all I got. Maybe the reason why Laura Owens won't write me back is because I have to go through this guy first. When we come back, I am going to try to convince David Gingras to let me talk to his client. Let's see if it works. I caught David Gingras off guard on a random evening, and I wanted to see how long I could keep him talking.
The overarching issue in the entire case is, did Laura lie about being pregnant?
Right.
That's the overarching issue. And that she can speak to. She absolutely can speak to that and say, yes, I was pregnant. During the case, she learned that she had miscarried, according to her, that she was not pregnant anymore. And she learned that in mid-November of 2023. And then she didn't file anything further. And then she tried to dismiss the case. I mean, as her lawyer, I'm happy to explain my point of view of why none of this matters. Like, you know, even if she was never pregnant from Clayton, even if that never happened, as long as she thought that she was, that's kind of the end of the story from a legal perspective. It should be anyway.
So as long as she thought she was pregnant, the heck does that mean? David Gingras, Laura's attorney, says that this case boils down to a single question. Did Laura lie about being pregnant? According to him, she truly believed that she was pregnant at the time that she filed the paternity case against Clayton Echard. So in other words, I could commit perjury in court and claim I slipped and fell at Costco without having any proof that I actually slipped or fell or that I was even at Costco. I just have to believe that I slipped and fell at Costco? According to Gingras, this case shouldn't have gone on for this long. And if it's not his client's fault, whose fault is it? He says it's Clayton's fault.
This exact thing happened to me. Happened to me.
Like somebody accused you?
Yes.
I have been told that Gingras loves to tell the story.
I was sued for paternity just like Clayton was.
Yeah.
I had a girl who claimed, and I don't mean to make light of any of it, but it's a Michael Jackson song, man. It's Billie Jean was not my lover. She's just a girl who says that I'm the one and the kid is not my son.
Yeah.
Women accusing men of paternity is something, it's a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
It's very common. And it happened to me where I was sued for paternity, and a girl that I was with, you know, filed a court case, said David's the dad. And I went and I did a little swab in my mouth, and we did a DNA test, and it was not mine.
Oh, okay.
In 5 minutes, it cost $0, and the case was resolved that way. It didn't cost $150,000.
In Gingras' situation, he took a DNA test. It came back negative. And just like that, the case was over. No lawyers, no court battle, no public spectacle. Just a 5-minute swab and it was done. So from his perspective, that's how this case should have played out. To him, Clayton's response, the extensive legal battle, the $150,000 attorney fees, the media attention, just feels like overkill. Gingras suggests that Clayton may have taken this case further than necessary, possibly to rebuild his public image after being, in his words, quote, an unpopular Bachelor contestant.
I think this seems like Clayton was an unpopular Bachelor contestant. He was hated because of what happened at the end. I didn't watch this season. I don't know anything about it.
We keep hearing about Clayton being a very unpopular Bachelor, so I looked it up just to see what the deal was, and here's how it went down. In the final few episodes, Clayton had narrowed it down to 3 women, Susie, Rachel, and Gabby. Clayton tells Susie that he's in love with her, but then he also tells Rachel and Gabby that he's in love with them too. And he sleeps with each of them. Susie finds out that he slept with the other 2 women and leaves the show. At the finale, when Clayton has chosen between Gabby and Rachel, he dumps them both, saying that his heart is with Susie. Fans were really angry because they thought he strung all these women along and unnecessarily broke their hearts. Scandalous. But not nearly as scandalous as his encounter with Laura Michelle Owens.
So, but he was hated. And then he finds this court case, and then he turns it into something where now allegedly he's a victim of a fraud. I'm not a Bachelor. Was never on TV, but I went through the exact same thing that he went through, and it was nothing. It was like the easiest case you've ever heard of.
I guess I don't understand your analogy though, because wouldn't that be easy enough to do in his case? You know, she says she's pregnant.
But it was done. But it was done in his case. It was done in Clayton's case. That's exactly my point. Is the very first thing that Laura did was ask for a DNA test.
That's not how Clayton tells it, though. Here's a clip from his interview with the Dating Detectives podcast.
The family court case was to deal with the parenting plan she served me with. So I really had to prove in that court that she wasn't pregnant. And even if she was, I was not the father. So I needed a paternity test, but no one would give us one because she was pregnant with twins. And this is when I figured out the whole reason she chose twins is because she found out that most labs won't do a paternity test when twins are involved because there's a small chance that there could be two separate fathers, because she was trying to dodge having to do a paternity test. But then I was like, thankfully I'm stubborn. I was like, there's got to be somebody that'll do it.
And Clayton found a clinic that would actually test twin fetal DNA. But for one reason or another, Laura kept canceling the appointment.
So I went on my social media and released a video and said, like, test results came back, little to no fetal DNA.
We need some good news. And who's got the good news today? I got the good news. What's that good news, Clayton? Well, test results came back early and they said little to no fetal DNA present. Let's go, baby. We knew.
Clayton knew that Laura wasn't pregnant. He just didn't have any proof.
I, at that point, was calling her bluff. I was putting all my chips on black. I was like, I am not going to wait for you to do another test. This is bullshit, and you know it. If she comes back, takes the second test, and it comes back that I am the father, I am canceled. I am basically going to be never believed ever again, and my reputation will forever be ruined.
But you knew in your gut.
But in my gut, I was like, you know what? I feel in my gut that she's faking it. So I'm not going to wait. I'm going to risk it. And if I happen to be wrong, then I will go forever get off social media and I will just be like, you know what? My reputation is ruined and so be it. So she's like, I'm going to take another test in a week. So some people are like, okay, I guess we'll wait for another week. And I'm like, this is bullshit. Well, then I get a message, the family court's going to close. They're like, hey, there's been inactivity. You guys aren't submitting anything in this court. If you don't submit anything in the next 30 days, that we're going to close this down. And I, in that moment, was like, no, I don't want you to close it down. In fact, I'm going to now use my lawyers that I have, and I'm going to file documents to make you have to prove that you were pregnant.
Here's David Gingras again.
Once Laura learned that she was no longer pregnant, which she tells me was November of 2023, she tried to dismiss the whole thing. And it looks to me like he's milking this case for publicity, which is probably illegal. If your only purpose of litigating a case is to try to promote your own fame, that we have in Arizona, there's something called abusive process. You can't do that. You're supposed to only litigate a case for the reason that it's existing, which in our case would be a paternity petition. Laura's not claiming that she's pregnant, right? She hasn't been pregnant since November of 2023. And here we are talking about this in April, nearly May of 2025.
After the break, we're going to listen in to the family court case between Laura Owens and Clayton Echard.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
The trial, unsurprisingly, started off with a whole lot of drama. The prosecution had listed Laura's ex, Michael Maricini, as a witness, since it was his laptop and messages that showed Laura lied about ovarian cancer. And as soon as Laura saw him, she called 911 to report him for violating her restraining order against him.
I know that you wish to make a record before we begin. Did you wish to make that now?
I do, Your Honor, as quickly as I possibly can. Okay. So we object to Mr. Michael Maricini being called as a witness. There are two bases for this objection. The first is non-disclosure. I got involved in this case on March 25th, 2024. 2 days after that, Mr. Woodnick served a second supplementary disclosure statement. That was the first time that Mr. Maricini was identified as a witness. Here we are, Your Honor. The morning of trial, I still don't know what Mr. Maricini is going to say. That is a complete violation of Rule 49. The whole purpose of the disclosure rules is to avoid surprise. And yet here we are, surprise, waiting to see what he's going to say. That's improper. The second issue, Your Honor, deals with this California court restraining order. We have a court order from the state of California that prohibits Mr. Maricini from being within 100 yards of Ms. Owens. He's in violation of it right now. There is no exception for court appearances. She is so terrified that she may not be able to sit here during this trial. So for those two reasons, I would ask the court to exclude Mr. Maricini.
Thank you.
The judge eventually ruled that Maricini was allowed to stay and testify, as the restraining order did not override his subpoena. The trial moved on to open comments. Here's Gingras again.
We're here on a petition to establish paternity. Unless I'm missing something, the only possible outcomes of that petition are that paternity is established or it is not. There's no baby in this case. There's nothing to establish. Our position is that the petition is moot, that the court can simply deny it, dismiss it, use whatever verbiage you want to.
He's reminding the court what this case is technically about, determining if Clayton is the father of the child. That's the only legal question on the table. In Gingras' view, there are only two outcomes. Clayton's the father, or Clayton is not the father. But that binary depends on pregnancy and that the child existed in the first place. If Laura is no longer pregnant or was never pregnant, and there's nothing to resolve, you can't establish paternity for a non-existing child. He's telling the judge, end the case. Call it a denial, a dismissal, whatever, just close it. Because if there's no child, there's no legal dispute to decide. Laura Owens is basically the Schrodinger cat of paternity court, simultaneously being pregnant and not pregnant, depending on which document you're reading. Until someone produces evidence, both realities exist. And then Clayton's lawyer, Greg Woodnick, brings us back to reality.
I'll remind the court that the court not only has the establishment of paternity matter, which was filed woefully inappropriately, as you'll hear today, and Your Honor has authority to make the findings today, that the petition was filed in bad faith, that there was pervasive fraud on this court in multiple proceedings, and that attorney's fees and sanctions can be ordered in this matter.
It was Laura's turn to take the stand. I think we were all hoping to get clarity on so many of the questions that we've had since the beginning of the story. I'll just tell you, we did not.
Laura, how are you feeling?
Nervous.
Okay. Just breathe and we'll get through this really quick, okay? At some point after you were intimate with him, did you test positive for pregnancy?
Yes.
Do you remember the first time that happened?
It was the evening of May 31st.
Okay. After you tested positive the first time, did you do anything to confirm the pregnancy?
Yes.
What did you do?
I went to Banner Health Urgent Care the next day, and I took a test there.
On June 1st? And after you got the second positive test, what did you do?
I told Mr. Echard.
Did you go see him at some point to talk about it?
Yes.
When you showed up at his house, did he ask you to take a pregnancy test?
He did.
Did you know in advance that he was going to give you that test?
I did not.
Did you take the test in front of him?
Yes, I did.
Did he actually watch you pee on a stick?
Yes, he did.
What was the result of that?
It was positive.
Here's reporter Megan Fox again.
But the one thing we didn't know, that we couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt, was how she kept peeing positive on pregnancy tests. Laura Owens was always able to pee positive with an HCG number, and she was also able to pass blood tests with HCG, albeit very low. But there was HCG, the pregnancy hormone, in her system.
These positive tests left a trace of doubt in Clayton's mind. What if she really was pregnant? I mean, anything could happen, right? It's a mystery for sure. But recently, reporter Megan Fox got her hands on a subpoena that sheds more light into this mystery.
She tested in October. After she claimed she was pregnant in July, she tests positive on a blood test at 102 in October. That never made sense to anybody. We were like, okay, how is this possible? And now we know, and I have confirmed this with the source, and I'm working on getting a copy of the subpoena. The Maricopa County investigators subpoenaed an HCG clinic that was in Laura's phone. Their phone number was in her phone.
I've reviewed the subpoena. The subpoena is real.
And they found that this clinic's number was in her text messages, and she was ordering HCG injections to be delivered to her in an unmarked box.
Investigators found the phone number of an HCG clinic in Laura Owens' phone. But when they followed up, the clinic said that they never treated anyone by that name. Laura Owens was not a patient. So how did that happen? Well, here's a theory. Someone may have been selling HCG illegally off the books and using the clinic's real phone number to appear legitimate. It's called spoofing. With apps or online services, you could actually text or make calls look like they're coming from a different phone number. It's just a theory. So even though the phone number in Laura's phone traced back to the real clinic, it doesn't mean that she ever walked through those doors or that she ever got HCG. All right, things are heating up. In part 4, our final installment of this series, we'll continue our coverage of Laura's testimony under oath in family court. And things don't end well for Miss Owens. Plus, Laura's attorney David Gingras and the judge go publicly to war with one another. It was not pretty. That's next time on Pretend. If you're enjoying this series, Part 4 is available right now on Patreon or Pretend Plus on Apple Podcasts. All right, so I need a favor from you guys because Pretend is still the best kept secret in the true crime podcast space, right? You guys listen to the show, you're enjoying the show, but don't be greedy. You got to spread the word. You got to share this show with your friends, right? So, people ask me all the time, how can I help the show? How can I help support what you're doing? The best thing you could do right now is to text a friend. Right now, you just finished the episode. Pull out your phone, text a friend that you would think would like this series or any of the Pretend series, and send them a link to the episode. Do it right now. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it will mean a lot to me and the future of this show, really. The more people listen to the show, the more sustainable it is to produce. So I really would appreciate it if you did that one thing, please. If you're driving, just wait till you get to wherever you're going and then send the text message. I'll give you a pass for that one. So don't text and drive. Another thing that you could do to help the show is leave a review or a comment in Spotify. And if you leave a review, I might read it here on the air, like this comment on Spotify. It's from Sharon. She wrote, "So many questions, but 2 will suffice. How does Laura Owens afford suing people left and right? And 2, has anyone ever asked her to lift her shirt to show her pregnant stomach?" Well, it turns out that Laura Owens comes from a wealthy family, so maybe that's how she's able to afford all this stuff. And the answer to your second question, why doesn't anybody ask her to lift her shirt? Well, Laura has a lot of photo of her belly, but they're not very sharp photos or high resolution. She's been seen horseback riding without the belly. There's a lot of inconsistencies with the belly. Jan Gibson Worthy wrote on Spotify, "I absolutely hate women like this. It's hard enough to be a woman. Examples, unequal pay, inadequate healthcare, unfair stereotypes, etc. But when a woman cries wolf, she's actually causing real harm for other women. These victims have to endure another layer of questioning or more intrusive tests just because some other random woman lied. There's a special place in hell for women like this." So there you have it. If you have a comment about this series or any, leave a question or a comment on Spotify. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I'll read it on the air if I can. And thank you so much. You are really supporting the show by engaging with the platform of choice. All right, that's it for now. Remember, Part 4 is already available right now on Patreon and Apple Podcasts. Or if you could wait, it's going to be available next week for free here. By the way, if you read The Atlantic magazine, I was interviewed on the series that I produced called How to Disappear. I'm quoted in there. It was super huge honor. So that was really cool. So go check that out. All right. That's it for today. This episode was written and produced by me, Javier Leiva, and Mackenzie Ames.
Creative Babble.